I'm Dr. Linder. We're going to be looking at the kidney today and the nephron for our Adelphi University students. So let's start with the kidney. We'll look at the outer portion of the kidney where we have the renal capsule. We could see the renal artery and renal vein. If we cut this and we look at the inside, so it looks like 752 right in here. This is the renal capsule. The next region in looks like here at 753. This would be the renal cortex. The cortex is the outer portion. And then as we move in here, this would be the medulla, which we also have the pyramids. Each of these pyramids will drain the filtrate into the minor calyces, which we see here, minor calyces. Then we have a major calyx, and the major calyx dumps into the renal pelvis, and the renal pelvis will drain that filtrate, which becomes urine, into the ureter. Remember, you have two kidneys. The word ureter has two E's, so we have two ureters, but there's only one urethra. And remember, the function of the kidney, within the kidney, we have a nephron, and the main function of that nephron is to filter the blood, not only filter, but reabsorb certain things back into circulation, and that which it doesn't want, it will excrete or secrete from the body. Okay? All right, so now let's take a look at the inner portion of the kidney. If we start on the outside here, this is the renal cortex. You know, think back to endocrinology when we did the adrenal gland. There was a cortex and a medulla. In the kidney, we have a cortex all around here, and then we have the medulla, which is the pink portion here. Now, each of these portions also makes up a pyramid. Here's a pyramid, here's a pyramid, here and here. And it's within this pyramid, within this region of the pyramid and this region of the cortex, we see this yellow structure, this linear structure here that is referred to as the nephron, and that is the functional component of the nephron. If we look at the different components of the nephron, we're going to go to these two parts of the plaque now. We have this portion, which is the glomerulus, or renal corpuscle. If we take this renal corpuscle and we open it up, it's going to take us, and we blow it up, we're looking at this. So within this renal corpuscle, we have what's called Bowman's capsule, which would be this structure, and then we have something sitting inside it like my fist in my hand, and my fist would be the glomerulus. So this group of capillaries inside is the glomerulus, and it's contained within this Bowman's capsule. So blood, remember, one of the functions of the nephron is to filter out blood. So blood is coming in via this afferent vessel. And this afferent arteriole brings blood into the glomerulus. And this is where filtration is going to take place. And we can see that we've got podocytes that surround this capillary system. And these podocytes have these filtration slits between them that will allow certain things to fit through, to pull out into what's called filtrate. Certain things should not fit through there. So we don't want to find proteins, red blood cells, white blood cells in our filtrate. That should stay within circulation. If they do show up, then there's some sort of abnormality going on or some malfunction. So these are podocytes. The afferent vessel is pretty large. The efferent vessel that exits it is a lot thinner. So here's our Bowman's capsule. When that filtrate is pulled out, it will now enter the first portion of that called the proximal convoluted tubule. So now if we go from here and we go back to this structure, there's our renal corpuscle, and inside is the glomerulus and Bowman's capsule. That first part is called the proximal convoluted tubule. So here's the proximal convoluted tubule. Now this is all contained within this portion here, the cortex. So we've got our proximal convoluted tubule. Then we start to descend down into the descending limb of what's called the loop of Henle. So this loop is the loop of Henle, and that takes place right here. That loop is now in the pyramids, or in the medulla. So here's our descending limb. This is our ascending limb of what's called the loop of Henle. This is where the countercurrent mechanism takes place of salt and water exchange. The medulla is quite salty. We ascend up into what's called the distal convoluted tubule. It's convoluted. So that's why we call it the distal convoluted tubule. Now that filtrate is drained into what's called the collecting tubules. The collecting tubules drain down, down, down into the papilla. So if we follow this, here's the loop of Henle. Here's the collecting tubule. And we follow that down into the papilla, into what's called a minor calyx. So we have a minor calyx here. There's another minor calyx here, another minor calyx here, and all of these minor calyces will drain the filtrate into a larger calyx called the major calyx. The major calyx will then drain that filtrate into the renal pelvis, eventually into the ureter. Okay? And I think that covers all of the structures. One other structure here, this is part of the distal convoluted tubule. This is where the glomerular apparatus is. And this has chemoreceptors that help determine what your blood pressure is like. Okay. Stay tuned to the next part for respiration.